A question I get asked a lot is, hey Chris, how can I put these programming and engineering skills into action with paid projects? When you're looking to land a job as a professional developer, it's common to struggle to find impactful projects with a decent pay. But at TopTal, you'll find just that. Unlike a normal 9 to 5 job, TopTal is 100% remote, which means that you get to design your own lifestyle by picking your own hours and working from anywhere. As a developer with TopTal, you'll get to choose innovative projects from the world's leading Fortune 500 companies and Silicon Valley startups. TopTal takes care of all the billing and invoicing, ensuring you get paid on time at the rate that you decide every time. If you're ready to accelerate your engineering skills by working with world-class clients, head over to toptaljobs.com or click on the link in the description tab below and fill out the form. Hey guys, what up? I'm waiting for the old vehicular to warm up. It's snowing out here and ice. Have you guys ever thought like programming is like a drug? Because I kind of think of it like that in some sense, because when you're programming, at first it's like really exciting. You're like, oh, I could do this and that with this library or this technology. But then the more you start doing it, then you start running up against some of the hardships of coding. You're like, ah, can't figure this out. Oh, this is starting to make me look, feel like shit. Oh, now I can't sleep at night. I have these weird dreams, and I'm looking at the world in a different way. I'm like altered reality. And anyway, that's kind of like programming to me. And the funny part is, I think when you look at employers, they're always like, well, how much drugs, aka coding, do you do? Do you like to spend all your weekends doing drugs and staying up all night coding and waking up the next morning and not doing anything with your friends and family and just thinking about more code and doing that again? And it's somewhat joking, but it's like we're some weird people in the coding field. It used to be these nerds with thick glasses, and everybody thought that they worked with like PhD types, people working at NASA lab suits and stuff like that. It seems like that's what a lot of people used to think programming was, and even to this day that kind of persists. But I think with like the social network and Zuckerberg acting like an asshole wearing a hoodie to the New York Stock Exchange, people start to realize, hey, these people aren't geniuses, man. I mean, they might be, well, some of them are, but they're just regular people, but they're sort of weird. They're not quite normal. They're basically drug addicts. Their drug of choice is to figure out the next coding problem, to build the next $1 million idea, and they're so addicted to that they just keep doing it day in and day out. And then now we have employers that are like, what do you mean you don't know about Axios IOs? That's unacceptable. The fact that you don't know Sync.io or something like that, or you're like, what do you mean you're not using pip environment with Python? Can you explain that to me, please? Like, the interview process is so fucking stupid, because even if we're not asking dumb questions like that, we're asking questions like, can you traverse this binary tree and do this or do that or blah blah blah. And one of the things that I find so interesting about that is like, all these senior developers that have been in this field forever, like, we know that stuff doesn't apply day to day. It's like the least of our concerns when it comes to programming. And if there's some sort of complicated algorithm, for the most part, people aren't writing that from scratch, man. Like, that's all simple math. It's math that you can look up, you can find. If you like, math kind of comes to you as you need it, as long as you have some sort of capacity for it. And just day to day, that stuff doesn't apply. But for senior engineers, like, we're like, oh, well, if we want to get into a FANG company, even if we've been doing this 10 or 15 years, we got to brush up on these algorithms that we don't deal with day to day and haven't for the last 10 or 15 years. And it's just such a joke. It's like, I just feel like the industry is all about how many drugs, aka code, do you do, like, and even to unhealthy levels, people expect you to be hooked on this stuff. And the reason why it's like a drug to me is because like I said, there's that moment of euphoria when you're getting excited learning a new thing. You guys are probably watching a tutorial and you get this euphoria, like, oh my god, I'm gonna be a programmer, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna learn that. When I do learn that, I'm gonna build a website that does this, or I'm gonna build a program that does that. And you get all excited, right? But then as you start coding, the reality of the drug starts to set in, and you're like, oh fuck, this is difficult. This doesn't make me feel as good as it did, And then you're gonna have these short bursts of like, I feel that euphoria again, you know, like you figure something out, you feel like $1,000,000, you feel on top of the world, get that fresh hit, you know, and like you just you start to feel better. But then eventually you get so used to it, you get so used to those moments of euphoria, and you're a full-blown drug addict at this point, and then you're like, hey, well, that stuff doesn't really do anything for me anymore. Like I felt it so many times, I don't feel it anymore. And then you just turn into an asshole. Like you're just an asshole. You're a guy who knows all kinds of stuff. You know everything about everything, and like you've already ruined your marriage and your kids' lives, and like it's just, you're basically a strung out junkie at that point, but you know your stuff, and you're just kind of bitter, you know. But this is kind of a joke. There's some hints of truth throughout that, but it's just really mostly a joke. But I do find coding to be an interesting field, because like employers and people in this coding industry are expecting us to be doing code to the point where it's an unhealthy thing. And then you also have to be somewhat of a unique person in order to do this anyway, because you're gonna have to like really, you know, have a lot of perseverance and a lot of patience, and you're gonna have to deal with a lot of frustration, which, you know, aka patience or whatever, and not everybody's cut out for that, you know. So like there are definitely some great times when it comes to coding. I've had great opportunities in my career. Like even now, like programming still my favorite hobby. Like really, it's my favorite hobby. I mean, I do YouTube, but it's programming related, so I still enjoy programming. I enjoy doing it day to day. I'm less motivated in certain days, and these, you know, it just comes and goes kind of thing. But like coding itself is definitely not a bad field to get into. I don't want to discourage anybody from doing that, but I do want to say that the unhealthy levels of coding that people are expecting us to do, it typically doesn't end well for the individual that has to do that. Like I've read a bunch of times, and it's so true. It's like nobody ever said on their tombstone, I wish I would have worked more, you know. But I think you have to work smarter, and that's one of the reasons why I don't. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of people criticize older developers, because they'll say, they'll criticize older developers because they'll say that older developers do not want to learn new things. And it's not really that. It's not that programmers don't want to learn new things. It's just that they don't want to learn things for the fuck of it. Like they don't want to learn things just because it's some sort of cool thing to do. They don't want to spend another Saturday away from their children or their wife or their significant other or their dog or whatever they do, or just getting exercise, fishing, boating, whatever, to learn some new library, aka Tailwind or something like that, if it doesn't apply to the day-to-day job. Like it's minimal shit. It's something that does not get us like really to a point that we feel that we want to be at, really. So there's so many different libraries and languages out there, and some of the older devs that don't want to, like, you know, jump on it because they look at it and they're like, well, you know, it's some new way of doing the same thing. Not really interested in that. I've already invested time learning the old way of doing it. Other people should do the same thing. You know, it's especially if it's like a higher level, abstracted out type of thing that's like dumbing down like original technology. That stuff is quite frustrating, because you're like, oh, well, if I could figure out the, you know, the underlying lower level stuff, then why the hell do I have to learn this like higher level tool that does the same thing? Unless it truly does offer benefits, and sometimes those come along and they do, and we learn them. But a lot of times, though, we're waiting around for whether or not we have to, because you know, we've done enough coding drugs already. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Bye. All right, guys, so thanks for watching this video. If you guys are interested in stopping working for the man, you're tired of working for the man, you're tired of working for another corporation, another person's dreams, whatever, work for your own, look at freelance development, check out toptailjobs.com.